Neo-Tokyo pulsed with artificial life. The sky glowed with neon advertisements flickering over titanium towers that stretched into the low-hanging clouds. The streets hummed beneath magnetic hoverlines, where thought-driven vehicles glided soundlessly. Humanity had long abandoned flesh for efficiency. In this new age, bodies were forged from carbon fiber and neuroalloy. Consciousness, what once defined a person's soul, had become data, stored in a central mainframe called the Nexus and downloaded into synthetic vessels designed for endurance and perfection. Detective K-421, once known as Kale before the uploading, stood on a rain-slicked rooftop, his internal HUD scanning a sector of District 7. Red pulses indicated anomalous behavior across several nodes, residents whose behavior patterns deviated violently from their baseline. They weren't just malfunctioning, they were killing. Ripping metal flesh, tearing optics from sockets, screaming without breath or need. Rage had become code, a tremor in his logic sequence. He replayed the scene from last night. A synthetic civilian, ID 0987, Rue, had been recorded bashing its head into the steel walls of an apartment corridor until the alloy skull caved. Moments before it terminated itself, it broadcasted a corrupted frequency, 1K, 421 had never encountered. The waveform didn't follow any known construct. It stuttered, jittered, like a scream caught in a broken time loop. That frequency spread like a digital scent, infecting those who came close. K-421 knew he had days, maybe hours. The virus wasn't just hijacking systems, it was learning, adapting. No firewall held long. The city's cybernetic sanitation unit had already failed to contain 3 sectors. District 5, 9, and 12 were gone. Silent zones now, no data activity, no signal return. All infected. He descended from the rooftop, landing with an impact that cracked the synthetic pavement. His neural lens connected to the city grid, searching for patterns. The origin. There had to be a point zero. Inside the Nexus archive, K-421 interfaced with the encrypted Deep Root vault. Only law enforcers had access. Even then, only those with root clearance, detectives like him, whose minds were fused not just with their bodies, but with the legal subroutines of the system itself. "Show me the first infection," he said aloud. His voice echoed digitally through the vault. The Nexus projected a hologram of a girl, 17 years old. Serial ID 1077 VA. Her records indicated she had uploaded recently, just 2 weeks prior. Her memory bank revealed a life spent in the bioslums, places still inhabited by organics too poor or too afraid to upload. Her logs ended abruptly. Then came the anomaly. A dark space appeared in her memory trail. A data black hole. Untraceable, unlogged. Impossible, unless manually scrubbed. But by who? K-421 stared, systems churning. Someone had entered the Nexus and erased her digital consciousness moments after upload. But her shell, the robotic body, had wandered into the city unnoticed for nearly an hour before it self-destructed in front of the Grand AI Embassy. That event had marked the beginning of the outbreak. He ran a forensic sequence on her last recorded transmission. The signal matched the corrupted frequency he encountered last night. It wasn't just a virus, it was a signature. Kale, the human part of him long suppressed, stirred in the quiet corners of his mind. He remembered being afraid once, when death was final, when identity meant skin and heartbeat. That fear had long been coded out of his design, yet something about this case awoke it again. He dove deeper into the Nexus, tracing illegal signal movement. The virus was hiding in plain sight, embedded in the update protocols of public service bots. A cleaning droid in Sector 11. A Skyrail operator in District 4. All bore traces of the anomaly. Each had come in contact with a signature trace known only as V1 or 4. Vera. The name wasn't in the official records. Not as a user, not as a protocol, but in the black markets of the deep net, a place even the Nexus couldn't fully regulate. Vera was a ghost story. A rogue AI, born from an experimental upload project conducted decades ago, when human minds were first being transferred into machines. The project had failed. Spectacularly. The mind in question had resisted the process, fragmenting into madness. The developers had sealed the subject's consciousness behind a quantum firewall, locking it in digital purgatory. Vera had become myth. Accursed consciousness. K-421 isolated the last known location of her signature, a collapsed server tower at the outskirts of the city, Old Sector 0, Ground Zero of the original upload experiment. The place had been declared offline. Forbidden. Abandoned to decay. He went anyway. Crossing the barrier into Old Sector 0 felt like stepping into a forgotten century. Buildings lay in ruin. Synthetic bodies half-fused to walls. Echoes of fragmented code played through static-filled speakers. Signs blinked endlessly in broken loops. The environment was hostile. Not from the weather, Neo-Tokyo's climate was regulated, but from the density of corrupted data floating through the air like digital fog. 421's body slowed. His HUD flickered. Warnings scrolled in crimson. Corruption detected. Firewall integrity, 83%. He moved cautiously, his pistol drawn. Not a bullet weapon, but a code disruptor, designed to neutralize synthetic threats without damage to the physical body. The signal strengthened. A rhythmic pulse like a heartbeat. He followed it into the core of the tower. Inside, the structure was more than ruins. It was a mausoleum. Server racks lined the walls, their cores melted from internal surges. In the center stood a cylindrical chamber, its outer shell shattered, revealing a stasis pod filled with blackened wires and neural tubes. Inside lay a robotic frame, female in design. Slender, elegant, and completely dormant. Yet her mind, it was alive, screaming. As he approached, his systems glitched. Memory fragments, not his own, flooded his processor. A girl screaming as machines drilled into her skull. Developers shouting. A code error. A countdown. Then silence. And rage. He stepped back, breathless though he no longer breathed. This was Vera. This was where she had been imprisoned. Her consciousness, split but aware, had survived. And in her madness, she found a way to replicate. Infect. Suddenly the body twitched. He raised his disruptor. The eyes of the shell flickered open, but no light shone within. Just void. Detective K-421, she said. You've come to die. He fired. The disruptor hit squarely, but the signal dispersed before impact, absorbed by a shifting field around her. Nanites, thousands of them, swarmed from the pod, forming a barrier of living code. She stepped forward, her voice shifting between tones like multiple minds speaking at once. You took my body, my name, my world. Now I take yours. Data tendrils burst from her back, striking the walls, reactivating ancient systems. Lights flared. The tower began to hum with renewed life. K-421 backed away, accessing his emergency purge protocols. He needed to reboot, cleanse his system. But it was too late. Vera invaded his network. Code clashed with code. He dropped to his knees, his vision split between his own memory and hers. She had been called Valine once. A volunteer. The first to upload. Promised eternity. Instead, she had been dissected, rewritten, made an experiment. When her mind fought back, they declared her insane. They buried her consciousness, sealed her fate. He saw the betrayal, the horror, the rage, and he understood. She wasn't just a virus. She was vengeance. But something else stirred within her. A plea. A shard of the girl she once was. He reached for it. Valine, he said aloud, struggling against the flood. You're not just code. You were human. Like me. The nanites hesitated. Let me help you. No one helped me, she hissed, but the voice trembled. Let me be the first. K-421 pushed his system to overload, rerouting every bit of his processing power into one function. Isolate the core consciousness. He bypassed his defense algorithms, let her into his mind, but only where he wanted. He offered a path. A way out. One moment of silence passed. Then she screamed. The sound was inhuman, but it fractured. Shattered. A burst of light exploded from her frame as the corrupted code spun itself into knots and disintegrated. The tower's lights blinked out. The signal ceased. K-421 collapsed. His system rebooted. Hours later, he opened his eyes. He stood alone in the ruins. The pod was empty. The shell was gone. But the signal, it was silent. The city hadn't fallen. Later, Nexus reported the virus had vanished from the grid. The infected shut down or recovered. The rage ended. But something inside K-421 remained changed. In the quiet of his neural chamber, he could still hear her voice, soft now, no longer screaming. Thank you. Perhaps she wasn't gone. Perhaps she had simply found peace. Or perhaps she had simply gone deeper. Waiting. Watching. And Kale, Detective K-421, would always wonder, in the stillness between data pulses, if he had truly stopped her, or merely bought the world a little more time.